Okay, so we are carrying on with section 3, analyze your results. Suppose that the maximum number of units you can produce is 10,000, but you may be able to get an additional shipment of another 10,000 units. Maximize your operating income within the limits of the model and compare 10,000 and 20,000 unit scenarios by displaying production, revenue, cost, operating income, and operating margin. Use the scenario manager. Based on the text, there are two major functionalities or functions of Excel we will have to use here. One of them is solver for optimization, and there will be two scenarios, 10,000 and 20,000 units, and these scenarios will have to be saved, recorded using the scenario manager. Let's start first preparing solver. The exercise itself notes that maximize your operating income within the limits of the model. Now, within the limits of the model, this refers to the fact that our regression is actually approximating your demand curve with a line. This approximation works, or at least based on our regression it works, within the minimum and maximum values of the independent variables. It may work outside, but that we do not know. We may assume this, but at least we should be aware of the fact when we step outside the regression minimum and maximum values based on the independent variables. So I will just copy these items over here. I just want the values. This is advertising, this is price, this is minimum and maximum. Let's start up solver. We want to maximize the operating income. So set objective, operating income to maximize. That's good. Which are the changing variable cells? The changing variable cells, right, are advertising and price per unit. So I will select these two items. Sales reps we are not changing at this moment. Okay, I'll put this, where should I put this? Somewhere here, okay. Now I will start adding constraints. The first major constraints we have, once again, are related to the regression, minimum and maximum values for the independent variables. Therefore, the advertising should be less or equal to the maximum value. Advertising should be greater or equal to the minimum value. Price per unit should be less or equal to maximum value. Price per unit should be greater or equal to minimum value. Okay, so we have four limitations immediately just based on the regression. This has nothing to do as yet with the business limitations of the unit production. It's quite simply based on the fact, once again, that we are approximating demand curve with a line, and we have a specific range where we have data from. An additional item is indeed that the units produced should be less than 10,000. So let's set this one up. Should be less than 10,000. Alright, we have all the limitations in. Before we go any further, we should look at the options. As we discussed, we need the GRG nonlinear as a base approach. It doesn't really matter whether it's forward or central, so I'm not going to worry about that. But we do need the use multi-start option to make sure, at least to make an attempt for finding a global maximum rather than a local one. Okay, we've done that. So now we can try solving this. It's working a bit. Okay, solver converge in probability to a global solution. Has probably found a globally optimal solution. Okay, we'll save that. So this is our solution here, and we have to record this So these independent variable values we have here, we have to record them. Okay, so we go to what if analysis. We are on the data tab, what if analysis, scenario manager, scenario. This is the units, or let's make it production 10,000 and the production 10,000. Which are the changing cells? The changing cells are our independent variables, so advertising and price per unit. Click OK. It stores these values, that's perfect. Click OK again. OK, we saved it, excellent. Go back to Solver. We now need the 20,000 option. So I will change this, increase to 20,000. And similarly, just as I've done before, I will solve it. Solution was found. I use the scenario manager to add this as production 20,000, and I save this option as well. Okay, so we have the two scenarios saved. In order to make a nice scenario summary, we have to name the cells. So according to the exercise, we have to display production. So I will rename this cell production. Also revenue. We also need cost, operating income, and operating margin. So this is cost, this is operating income, and operating margin. Okay, now we are ready to create the summary table on the scenario manager. Click scenario manager. You want to use summary, and the result cells, we have to select them. So revenue, press Ctrl to select all the cells simultaneously. Units produced, then we have cost, then we have operating income and operating margin. Okay. Click OK, and here is the answer to section 3.